Hello, everybody, and welcome back for our fifth and final set of the day. And we have a very, very exciting one coming up. It is a battle between the two NAIC champions. We have the
Yeah.
Masters Division champion with Federico Camporesi representing Team Italy. And then we have the Seniors Division champion representing Team Brazil, Isaac Moreira. This is going to be such an exciting match, not only because of the two teams and the two players and their strengths, but also just the fact that what are the chances that we have the two NAIC champions competing against each other? It's going to be so fun to watch.
Yeah, we are super lucky to get a chance to look at these two teams. Looks like we've got Portugal versus Finland. I don't think that's quite what we're looking for this matchup. Should be Italy versus Brazil, unless both players have moved to different countries.
Yeah, they've
Um,
both rerouted their nationality. Yeah, no worries. We'll get the correct one up in just a second. But I do think, talking a little bit about this matchup and about the history of these teams in the Victory Road World Cup, Team Italy, despite the names that you might associate with this country and some of the best VGC players in the world, they haven't had as strong of a World Cup in a while as you might think. Last year, they were eliminated in top 8 by Team India, and they got second place in 2021, which is their best result. So they've never won the Victory World Cup. And I think with the roster of players that they have and the peaks that they're hitting today, I do think this could be the year. But Team Brazil is also one of the best countries that you could possibly think of when you think of Pokemon, even though they're located within LATAM, and that tends to be like one of the smaller regions just in terms of player base. Brazil is the country in LATAM that people think of when they think of competitive Pokemon.
yeah, the biggest country, of course, and that means they have a lot of players, and they are so talented. We see time and time again with Brazilian players that they are absolutely no joke when it comes to VGC. They've just been utterly incredible. Basically, ever since like 2017, when they really started getting their foot in the door in terms of big VGC events, and they've been an absolute threat ever since then. And so, yeah, really exciting that like neither of these teams have done. It's crazy to me that Italy has not won this, right? It's like
Yeah.
it. There's so like you can name like 15 off the top of your head really good Italian players and be like, oh yeah, they like surely this will happen, but they haven't quite gotten across the finish line yet, and so yeah, this might be the year. So we'll have to see, but let's check in how exactly they're doing right now. As you know, in order to win the whole thing, you have to win each. You have to do well enough in these group stages, so these are very important. And between these two teams, let's see how the two teams of Brazil versus Italy are going right now. And once again, they are the seed 3 and 4 in the groups.
Yeah.
Chile absolutely wrecking shop, doing great. Probably this would be like the opposite ranking than I would have been expected, right? But it shows that you can really not count anyone out in the World Cup of Pokemon.
Talk about an absolute group of death here. I mean, these are four countries that I think most VGC players would agree are among the strongest. Spain, Italy are two of the strongest countries that exist in the entire world, let alone Europe. And so there are so many good players in this group. There are so many strong players. And what I love especially too, like we're going to be watching Italy versus Brazil. Brazil is so good that they're fielding a senior. That's how good he is. He's able to compete at the master level. He's able to keep up with these really strong players. Look at some of these names on your screen. I mean, how many regional championships, special event championships, finalists, top 4. I mean, these are such good players. It is going to be so exciting to see. Italy is off to a great start so far. And take a look at Davide's team over on Team
I was
Italy.
like, what in the gold duck are we looking at here?
Golduck. That's exciting. It got a 2-0. It got a 2-0. You cannot critique him.
I don't know how. I'm really curious to see how that happened, but we've got an even more exciting match between the two top players up on this roster here, Isaac and Federico. And we can see, yeah, these are utterly stacked teams with some of the best players in the world. And so Currently, Italy is leading 3-0, but that can change at any moment. These players are also good. Everything is on a razor's edge here, and so let's take a look at what are the team. Oh yeah, there's also a Espathra. We should have mentioned there's a Espathra and Golduck. We have double. Espathra's not a duck, but close enough, right? Close enough.
Yeah,
Bird,
sure.
they're both birds. But either way, let's take a look at the two teams because we might see some more birds coming up in this matchup between Federico Camporesi and Isaac Moreira. And Federico running the very bulky team with Grimmsnarl, Assault Vest Archaludon, Life Orb Ursaluna, Volcarona Choice Specs Golden Go, and a Dragonite. So this is a very bulky screens team. And really weird to see an Archaludon without Electro Shot and without Rain, but this team with the bulk it has, it can make it work.
Yeah, that is a great point. I didn't notice that at first, that the Archaludon has... normally, it's just so ingrained in our heads that it has Electro Shot and that it either is going to run Power or Rain or both. Neither in this case. Federico just wanted himself an Archaludon on his team. He wanted something that could stack up those stamina boosts, could get off those body presses. Snarl can be disruptive in a ton of matchups. Draco Meteor, Flash Cannon, just great stab moves in general. My eyes here are glued to the Choice Specs Golden Go with the Grimmsnarl paired alongside like Volcarona, which can redirect hits, set up Tailwind for it. I think there's just so much survivability on this team. And we're used to Ursaluna doing a ton of damage with leftovers with Assault Vest. This is just the old standard set, which is the Terra Normal Life Orb. And so you pair that with Tailwind or with Thunder Wave speed control or with screens so that it can survive some hits. This thing is going to be doing a ton of damage on Federico's side.
Yeah, Ursaluna is an absolute menace. We got a reprieve that last round, but in the previous matches we've seen just how much of a menace Ursaluna can be. And this is the Life Orb one. This one is not messing around. This one doesn't need to outlast the opponent. It's just going to KO them immediately with absolutely insane blood moons. And so this team is really interesting because it's got three different ways of speed control. There's the Thunder Wave on Grimmsnarl, and then the two Tailwinds on Dragonite and Volcarona. So it's really about getting those screens up and then suddenly finding a position where you have, suddenly now we have Golden Go in Tailwind ready to just start hammering out damage with big Choice Specs, Terra Steel, Make It Rains, or the same thing can be said for Ursaluna. There's just so much damage between those two Pokemon in particular. Not that the other Pokemon aren't doing pretty meaningful damage, right? Volcarona, Dragonite, Grimmsnarl, these all, and Archaludon, all have pretty naturally high offensive stats. So even if they're not super trained to be offensive, they can certainly contribute to battles with a lot of damage. And so this team is just going to be, winning a lot of damage trades, and doing so much to take less damage than its opponents and just doing way more. And of course, Federico, I don't know if we need to really sing his praises that much. NAIC champ, world's top 4, doesn't even have a good dance from last year. The regional winner there got top 8 this year. Utterly incredible player, and I really am looking forward to see how he pilots a team like this because there's a lot of room for excellent play to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the running for potentially best player in the world. If not, he's certainly up there with any of the guys that you could name. And over on the flip side, let's take a look at his opponent's team sheet, Isaac Moreira. Again, I want to reiterate because I think this is so awesome. Isaac competing in the seniors division still, which means that he is able to compete at a level with the masters players. Let's just take a look at this team. I think it's so exciting. And there's so many things that I want to break down with this and talk about, so I'm sure we'll get to all of them. It has the classic Murkrow Golden Go choice specs that we have been seeing throughout the 3 years that Scarlet and Violet have been out. I mean, this is a set that has been around forever. It's just so good because you have Tailwind Make It Rain, you have Haze Make It Rain on the subsequent turns. It's so good. The thing that excites me the most, though, is Mousehold paired alongside Golden Go, because even though there is screens from Fede Campo's side, you have Super Fang to eliminate 50% of any target's health. You've got Feint to get around Protects. And so you're able to poke holes in these really bulky compositions and pick up knockouts that Federico may not be expecting.
Right, and if you're trying to like, really bulk out with something like Archaludon, get those stamina boosts off, Murkrow can just click Haze and suddenly all of that is gone. It doesn't remove the screens crucially, but as you're saying, yeah, Super Fang can be really important here. And something a little tricky that you have to look a little bit closer at this team sheet. You see Mousehold, you see Annihilate, you see them right next to each other. You think, oh, there's going to be some beat up stuff. This Mousehold doesn't have beat up. This Annihilate
Yeah.
is Final Gambit with close combat as ways to really clamp down on Pokemon, especially like that Archaludon, make sure it really can't get a whole lot of leg room in this particular matchup. There's also, of course, the Sneasler with another Pokemon with close combat, alongside that Indeedee as potential terrain control, super fast mode. And so, whereas Federico's team is very bulky and can last a decent amount of time, Isak's team is very fast, very offensive. So if the game ends quickly, chances are Isak won. If the game takes a little bit longer, chances are Federico's going to come out on top.
Yeah, and speaking of the game, let's get ourselves into match number 1. We are ready to go between Team Italy and Team Brazil. Brazil really needs a win in this set to get themselves back into a good headspace for the rest of this matchup this week. And we see pretty similar leads on both sides. Choice Specs Golden Go for both players, just different supporting options with Grimmsnarl for Federico and Mousehold for Isak.
And this is immediately very tricky and awkward because you have to decide for both players, what move will I lock into with Golden Go? It's a little bit trickier for Federico because you really want to Shadow Ball the opposing Golden Go, but of course Mousehold is there, it has Follow Me, and it is a normal type, so it will take 0 damage from that. So Make It Rain might be the more appealing option, but then you might not be getting a KO here. And so it's definitely going to be interesting to see what these players prioritize. What do they want to get rid of? Do they want to get rid of the support Pokemon, or do they want to get rid of the opposing Golden Go? Because they both have the damage to do it.
Yes, they absolutely do. We see Terra coming out. I believe that this is for, yes, Isak's side. So potentially an indication of the training of both of these Pokemon. Oh, never mind, because that's Terra on the Grimmsnarl there to get around something like a Super Fang. That's one way to make sure that both screens are going to get up if you Terra and you get out of something like Super Fang. But Shadow Ball now looks so tempting for Federico.
Mousehold will be whiffing though that Super Fang into the now Ghost type Grimmsnarl, but Golden Go gets to go for a big Make It Rain with the light screen. Grimmsnarl takes that reasonably, might be able to take one more after this special attack drop, but now Golden Go gets to go for its own Make It Rain, doing a huge amount of damage to that Mousehold, and Friend Guard showing its value, making that Golden Go on Isak's side take that really comfortably.
Yeah, and we're seeing some of the game knowledge on full display for Federico there. Just knowing that Shadow Ball is a scary lock-in because Grimmsnarl's able to resist it and his own Golden Go can Terra out of it. So if you know that your opponent needs to click Make It Rain, you're able to stay in your own type, Terra the Grimmsnarl. Now you've got both screens set up. You've set yourself up so that these really bulky Pokemon in the back, it doesn't matter if something like Sneasler's in the back, you've got Reflect up, whereas otherwise you would have only been able to get one screen up. So Make It Rain here, doing a little bit of damage on both sides. Fede's Golden Go down to about half health. Isak's Golden Go a little bit healthier thanks to Friend Guard, but not by much. And it's going to come down to what Federico has in the back to take advantage of these screens.
Yep, screens have been set up. Did have to pay for it with the Grimmsnarl and the Terra as well, but Dragonite does get to come out onto the field now, and this is where the speed interaction of the Golden Go and the Dragonite will come into play, because a Super Fang plus Make It Rain, even at -2, would probably be able to get this Dragonite. Well, maybe not with the screens, though. But either way, Federico's not going to chance it, decides to go for a Protect with that Dragonite to keep it safe, and these Golden Go are just going to sit here and just throwing pocket change at each other now. This is the 3rd time in a row. This one's got an axe on its head, so it'll do a little bit more. Ooh, that is the risk you run when you just say, "Oh, I'm just going to let Golden Go keep throwing out these Make It Rains." Is a critical hit can be absolutely devastating there. So Federico gets nothing done on that turn, loses Golden Go, forced into the final Pokemon here, and he's got 2 Dragon types with a whole lot of stats, a whole lot of damage with screens to help get through the rest of Isak's 4 Pokemon.
Oh, and that's potentially even worse than we might assume, because there's no extreme speed on Dragonite. This should mean that Mousehold, yep, bye-bye 50% of your Archaludon's health. That's going to go such a long way in setting up an end game for Isak there. And wow, critical hits, I mean, they're a part of the game. and they are one of the biggest downsides to running a slower, bulkier team. If your opponent
Mhm.
gets a single critical hit, it can throw your entire game plan out of the window there. And this will be a double knockout for Federico, most likely, assuming that Body Press is able to pick this up. But it's such a good spot for Isak, depending on what's in the back. A lot of this hinges on what has been hiding away. Can it take advantage of that critical hit and the damage you're able to get because of it?
Yeah, crucially, Isak decided not to conserve the Golden Go, deciding, well, we just get the chip damage. Let me break multi-scale on Dragonite. I think that'll be more important. And kind of makes sense. Isak doesn't have the best defensive switch-ins to something like a body press. And we do see the cleanup crew of this team will be the Indeedee and Sneasler. This is a Focus Sash Sneasler, or sorry, Focus Sash Indeedee, so it can switch up moves if it decides to, though the only attack it has is Expanding Force, and it's probably going to want to use that quite often. The Terra has been expended from Federico's side, and so this Archaladon looking pretty vulnerable to a potential close combat if Isak's not confident in that getting the KO after these two stamina boosts, then the Indeedee can help out with a nice helping hand if he so chooses. But Sneasler actually going for the Protect on this turn, wanting to get some more damage out of this Indeedee. The Dragonite does go for
Miss!
Scale Shot. Oh, but it misses the Indeedee.
Oh, that is so sad for Federico. You can see what he's going for there. He's able to get the knockout onto Indeedee with that scale shot, potentially boost your speed even further. But that is a disaster of a turn, because you would imagine that all of this little chip damage that you've been accumulating means that Dragonite could potentially fall to something like a Helping Hand plus Dire Claw. And Archaladon, it's boosted up for sure, but it's not like it's able to do that much into the Sneasler. Body Press is resisted, Snarl's resisted, Draco Meteor would lower your own special attack, and so a lot of this hinges on whether or not this Dire Claw is able to pick out the knockout onto Dragonite.
Yep, here's the Helping Hand. Dragonite, kind of seeing what's going to happen here, goes for the Protect to keep itself safe from this potential Dire Claw, which does go into that Dragonite slot. So Federico doing what he can despite the rolls really not going in his favor in this turn. Goes for the Snarl. That's pretty nice damage on Indeedee. Very frail Pokemon, is weak to Snarl. And now these Expanding Forces, they were doing nice damage before, even through the screens. Now they're really not cutting it here. And Isak's having a really hard time breaking through these dragons. This help from Grimmsnarl has been very, very useful as another helping hand needed to get the damage he wants.
Ooh, no double protect. You would have hoped to see that after some of the unfortunate RNG earlier in this set. Dire Claw should pick up. Scale Shot's lowered its own defenses, so it's kind of offsetting the screens a little bit. And that is likely going to be it. Body Press goes off into Indeedee, picks up that knockout, but like we mentioned before, this is, even though it's a boosted Archaladon, it doesn't have access to Terra. It's so low that you would imagine a close combat's able to pick up even from this low.
Yeah, it's really low, but there are a lot of defense boosts and Reflect. We'll have to see. Sneasler deciding, let me just protect, stall out these final turns of screens. Doesn't want to have to worry about that Reflect. Archaladon going for the highest damage move it can in this situation. Body Press, even resisted, probably going to do more with the Psychic Seed bolstering Indeedee's special defense. And so at this point, it's just who can do more damage with these attacks.
Whoa!
Sneasler going for the Dire Claw into Archaladon, interestingly enough, as the Body Press goes into Sneasler, does about half, so one more will connect. Oh, I think he went for Dire Claw to not give it another stamina boost,
Yeah,
and he thinks
that's
this close combat is going to get there.
That's very,
Excellent.
very, very smart. If you know, and based off the damage roll, that +3 body press, even if it gets a critical hit, is not going to knock you out. Isak's put himself in a position where he doesn't even have to worry about a critical hit, because maybe +4 body press with that boost, if you get a critical hit, gets knocked out,
Yeah.
you know that just stalling out that last turn and Reflect, your close combat's going to do enough. That was very smart. That was a fun, very, very, very clutch way to close out that endgame. What looked like a silly mistake actually ended up being probably the correct play to go for there.
Yeah, like this is what we were saying when we were like, yeah, this is a senior, but you can really not tell by the level of play that Isak has. Like seeing that in the moment of, oh, I want to stall out the Reflect, I want to go for the move that does nothing at all, just to stall out that turn, and it worked. It was that helped solidify the game and get and close out that game as safely as possible. And yeah, that was incredible.
I
Of course,
know. Yeah, that caught us a little bit off guard.
you were like, wait, what? That's not. It was supposed to say close combat, not dire claw, but shows us what we know. Isak's pretty good, turns out. But let's kind of rewind a little bit, because I think there were, of course, some unfavorable rolls that happened to Federico along the way that got into that position. And so for Isak, it might not be as simple as, well, I just do the same thing again and it'll be great, because there was that very crucial make it rain critical hits onto Federico's Golden Go, and you can't rely on that necessarily. Definitely helps, but not a surefire way to get a second win here for your team.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of second win, let's make our way into game number 2, see what kind of adjustments both of these trainers can make. And I think that turn 1, if the leads play out the same, we see that Golden Go and Mousehold are there, Golden Go and Grimstar are there. Great, leads are the same. We've got ourselves in a bit of a position, because Federico last game opened himself up to Isak locking into Shadow Ball being very strong. But locking into Shadow Ball here is just so tough. I mean, maybe there's a world where you go Super Fang Shadow Ball into the Golden Go, and that way you feel a little bit better, because he can either, take super effective or tear out of the Super Fang. These players know what they're doing. They are quick to the jump. We have both players locking into their moves very fast. Explosive, offensive matchup. Let's see how it pans out, Zach.
Yep, we've got another Golden Go going for their Terra Steel. They're both looking to get the most damage out. Crucial thing that we didn't quite mention is Isak's Golden Go is faster. That is a very notable thing, is that we'll be getting hitting to the punch a little bit faster. And so we see both Golden Go donning their Terra Steel crowns here in order to do the most damage with Make It Rain. Grimmsnarl trying to help as much as it can with a light screen, but if a Make It Rain comes out, I don't know, that'll quite help out. Mousehold will go next with a Super Fang, as you were saying, breaks down that Golden Go to half. Make It Rain doesn't quite pick up the Golden Go, but one more will certainly get there, and Grimmsnarl will not be able to set up a Reflect in this game, as it is swiftly knocked out by all that pocket change.
Isak is one step ahead of me. He realized that last game's Shadow Ball would have been great to lock into. Federico obviously realized that Shadow Ball is a threat that could be locked into. That is so much damage, by the way. But, double critical hit. Finally, a little bit of fortune in Federico's favor there. But still, I think all in all, the fact that Isak was able to click Super Fang Make It Rain into a Golden Go there, when it fully could have just stayed as a Ghost type, and Super Fang would have done nothing. Getting that much damage off, you know that Golden Go can't protect. If our Chaladon is waiting in the back, you know that does not want to take a close combat either. You've got yourself in a position here where you can start to do a lot of cleanup work here. Dire Claw into the Dragonite, break that multiscale, paralysis, so we don't even need to see whether or not the speed interaction is relevant, because it doesn't matter. Golden Go getting that Make It Rain off, how much damage is it going to do? Not enough!
Barely not enough. Federico's Golden Go trained well enough, survives with 7 hit points, gets to fire back with a Choice Specs Terra Steel Make It Rain of its own at -1. Still not enough to pick up either KO. Does Dragonite get to move? Paralyzed, it could not move it. It is fully paralyzed. Federico getting the worst end of these rolls most of these turns. Got that double critical hit, but really would have liked to get a Scale Shot or a Tailwind off this turn. And now Dragonite is looking like it is just food for another Dire Claw and Make It Rain. And things have gone from bad to worse for Federico. And he's going to try to scrape by. Needs Dragonite out of here. Our Chaladon is going to be the thing he needs to get the damage done. Could take a potential Dire Claw and Make It Rain reasonably well, but Isak's not going to give him that out. Just decides for the safe close combat into that Golden Go and finally remove that pesky Pokemon.
Federico is probably so excited to make our way into Regulation F over the next couple of weeks, couple of months. Not have to deal with Sneasler anymore. This Pokemon has tormented him in this set, just with its ability to land status moves and all sorts of things. I think at this point, Isak has positioned themselves into a spot where it's very difficult to see how Federico can come back here. I mean, sure, our Chaladon's got a boost there. It's going to be able to probably withstand even a close combat from Sneasler. But if you've got Ndidi in the back, even with Tailwind, it's looking like a bit of a rough position here. But this is Federico Camporesi. He's the NAIC champion for a reason. He's one of the best players in the world for a reason. If anyone can find a way back, it's going to be him. Close combat, it does a lot, but not enough.
That might not enough on this turn, but it might be enough in the long term. That does so much damage. That second stamina boost, I'm not sure that's going to be super impactful here. Our Chaladon at 48 hit points. This -3 Choice Specs Terra Steel Make It Rain through Light Screen. 20 damage to our Chaladon. Not too much. However, our Chaladon needs health for all of these stamina boosts to mean much of anything. It gets the consolation prize, gets the KO onto that Sneasler. That's great. However, this is just opening the floodgates for this Ndidi to come in, and I think one expanding force will be curtains for Federico.
Yes, I think so. With the Focus Sash, you know that even like a rogue critical hit or something like that, you're not going to go down to it. There's no speed control setup. Tailwind was not able to be set up due to the paralysis. And we're going to see Federico Camporesi lock in the forfeit. That is huge for Brazil, right? We saw that Italy had been dominating this matchup so far. The fact that you're able to pick up a win in what looks to be sort of like a David versus Goliath, a senior player against one of the best masters that we have in the entire world. Isak played that so phenomenally well, got a little bit lucky, but it's important to, mention luck is part of the game, and taking advantage of it and actually winning off of it is a skill in its own right. And so seeing Isak win there is super exciting, given the fact that he's a senior player. He played so well.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's almost more fair to say this is like a David versus David match. Like,
it's true.
Isak
Yeah,
has clearly shown that he is one of the best seniors in the world for sure, and can rival the Masters, and demonstrated that perfectly here today. Taking down Federico in this matchup, where it is very easy to say, well, Isak did get a little bit fortunate with some critical hits and some, dire claws and whatnot. But that is what happens in a matchup of this style, right? Where you have a very offensive team that is moving first more often, and a bulkier team that relies on taking those hits and then striking back. But the team that attacks more is going to get more lucky, right? They have more chances to critical hit with the more attacks you make. And Isak was clicking Make It Rain a lot. That's 2 chances to critical hit every turn. You're going to get some critical hits in a game like that where you're clicking so many attacks so often. And so, Grimsnarl can't crit Light Screen. That doesn't work, right? It's only got to be attacks. And so Federico had the bulk to withstand things, but the margins are very thin. If just something goes a little bit wrong, you're suddenly really behind the 8 ball. And that's exactly what happened here, where Isak was in a position to do more damage and got those rolls that he needed to, and really closed out the game very comfortably, especially in that game too. And so that is the benefit of playing these sorts of more aggressive teams. You can get those critical hits that can really just blow a game wide open, and that can really do a lot to close out a game like that. And so really, really well played for Isak. I think Federico probably a little annoyed, but that is kind of what happens when screens go up. Those critical hits, they feel like they happen way more often.
Yep, that's why Victory Road World Cup is not just a best of 1 between these players. It's 8 best of 3s. So even though Federico might be a little bit upset with how his match went, the rest of Team Italy can get his back there and cover for him. What an exciting day of matches we had. It was a blast to cast alongside you and to cover these matches for Victory Road. We are all wrapped up for our games today, but there's plenty of action to come in the following weeks. So make sure that you follow, make sure that you stay tuned with what Victory Road has in store. And we're going to have more matches coming next Sunday. So please be there for tuning into those. And we'll see you next week. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a great night.